For many, hockey is more than just a game. It is a lifestyle. An extremely fast-paced sport consisting of skating at high velocities, split-second decisions, and a lot of physical contact. Concussions, broken bones, lost teeth, and many other injuries are all risks players are willing to take to win the game. However, one of the most dangerous and heart-stopping moments in hockey is when a player gets checked from behind. Hitting from behind can result in permanent injuries despite several layers of equipment. It puts everyone on the ice at risk and there's just no room for it. In order for there to be a change, players need to be more aware of the dangers of hitting from behind so it can be eliminated from the game. According to the National Hockey League rulebook, checking from behind is a check delivered on a player who is not aware of the impending hit. This leaves the players unable to protect themselves as contact is made on the back part of the body. Rules have been set in place to minimize checking from behind. Players are often given major penalties and instantly ejected from the game. For extreme cases, referees can give players a long-term suspension if they feel they were intentionally trying to hurt the other player. For example, in this case, the player is lining up his check from across the ice and never shows any sign of hesitation as he goes to hit the opposing player from behind. There are many reasons why this type of hit is so frowned upon by everyone in the hockey world. Sure, hockey is a contact sport, and checking is a big part of it. Unlike other hits, players cannot be taught how to absorb the impact of a check from behind. They are completely vulnerable, and therefore their safety is at risk. When hit from behind, your head violently snaps the opposite way of which your body does. This can easily result in a concussion as the brain shakes against the sides of your skull. Research even shows that hockey players with concussions have the same brain activity as people in comas. Concussions can also affect players' mental health in the long run if not treated properly. Even more serious injuries occur in the neck area when checked from behind. Cervical spine fractures are likely to show up after a hit. Sadly, this greatly increases the risk of players becoming quadriplegic. Many victims, such as the one showed here, will never be able to skate, let alone walk again, because of this illegal hit. On average, there are 8 hockey players a year who suffer from spinal injuries after taking hits from behind. That is 8 too many. Players should not have to worry about fearing for their safety every time they step on the ice. To further discuss this topic, Joe Ross, a fellow Penn State student, is going to reflect on his experience with getting checked from behind.
So it was actually my second game of the season, and there was only 2 seconds left in the period. And as I came around, as I was circling around, like right at the blue line, I caught an edge in my skate, and at the same time that happened, the opposing player cross-checked me in the back, and that threw my head forward, and then it snapped my head back and then forward. And then after that, I was paralyzed instantly. So I was on the ice for probably 20 minutes. The ambulance came, took me, and about an hour later, after all the tests and after doctors examined me and everything, they told me you have a fractured C4, C5 vertebrae and an incomplete spinal cord injury at your C5 and C6. I didn't know what all that was, but that's what they told me. Well, my mom asked the doctors, like, is he ever going to walk again? And they said, probably not. And then, a couple days later, they kept talking. It's like the absolute best outcome that we can expect is he'll be able to take a couple steps with a walker, and his handwriting will be no better than chicken scratch, which that second part's kind of true. So after that, I was in intensive care for about 2 weeks. I was completely paralyzed the entire time, quadriplegic, couldn't move a thing. And then I got transferred to Cincinnati for my inpatient rehab. And so there, I made steady gains, slowly and slowly and slowly, and nothing came easy. I threw up a bunch, blacked out, passed out, fainted, said so many profane words that I didn't even know and whatnot. But eventually I made a full recovery, which according to the doctors less than 1% of people make, and so I was part of that 1%. And it's funny. A lot of people ask me why I was the lucky one, and I tell you what, I ask myself that every day, and every day I haven't come up with an answer.
As you can see, Joe defeated all odds and walked out of the hospital days after his accident. This is rarely the case. Most players will spend the rest of their lives in a wheelchair. Even in Joe's case, he will never get to suit up and play hockey again because of one irresponsible decision by another player. I believe there are a few ways to reduce the amount of checking from behind in ice hockey. One way is having teams sign the Jack Jablonski pledge. Jack was another victim to this dangerous hit. While in the hospital, his family, friends, and team created the pledge. Individuals on each team get to read a story which gives more of a personal impact, and then they sign the pledge that they mail to the organization saying they will not check from behind. In return, they receive a sticker with Jack's number 13 to put on their helmet. This way, every time they step on the ice, they see the 13 and think of Jack before playing the game. It is an effective way to make players think twice before hitting a player in the back. Another method already in place are small stop signs that can be sewn onto the back of jerseys. This way, when the opposing team narrows in on a player, if they see the stop sign, it means they are about to check for the player from behind, so they may shy away from the hit. Finally, I think informational meetings should be mandatory for players of all ages every year. At these conferences, past players can discuss how to make the game of hockey safer for everyone. By introducing the possible consequences of checking from behind, it can be less of a factor in the game. Checking from behind is by far the scariest moment in ice hockey. Accidents happen, so there is always the possibility of getting hit in the back, but by making players more aware of the consequences that can come as a result, it can reduce the chances of this happening. When players are safe and the game is played the right way, everyone wins.